In this video, I'd like to discuss the different types of containers that you can use the poultry water nipples on. First and foremost, a word on safety. Any container that you put poultry water nipples on should have a lid. The lid does two things. It keeps the birds out for their own safety. You don't want a bird to get in a bucket of water. And the second thing that it does is it keeps the water clean. And clean water equals safe, healthy birds. So the cleaner you can keep the water, the healthier your birds will be. And that's really one of the big benefits to using the poultry water nipples versus some other types of containers, that the water stays clean with these. So the first container that I'd like to talk about is the standard 5-gallon bucket. This is what most folks will find the most useful, and this container can be used for birds of different ages. You never want to use the containers on the ground as they stand here. This is way too low. The birds won't be able to use them. The birds need the nipples to be somewhere in the height from their breast to the bottom of their beak. So this height is way too low for any bird. And the way that you can do that is either with a chain with a hook. A lot of folks will hang their buckets because most buckets have a handle. So you can hang them from the rafters with a chain or a rope. There's another way you can do it, and the kind that I normally use myself is with bricks. Bricks and blocks are super durable, super cheap. I don't know any farmer that doesn't have a stack of old blocks or bricks laying around. You can buy them from local home improvement stores for bricks are less than $1 normally, and blocks are about $1. So they don't get much sturdier than a block or a brick. This height would be great for birds right out of the brooder. Birds that are in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 weeks old will find this good height. As the birds get older, they get taller, you're going to want to stack more bricks. So this height, again, is for a juvenile height for birds, and as they grow older and get bigger, rather than continue to stack, I go to concrete blocks. Now, concrete block is roughly 8 inches tall with that 1 inch allowance that we do when we mount the nipples. It gets you up to about 9 inches, which will work great for most chickens, ducks, peafowl, pheasants. Most of your average chicken-sized birds will find this height to be perfect. So most folks will find this setup to be ideal. That works for the round buckets as well as the square buckets. Now, square bucket you may find helpful if you're in a corner of a coop or a building, or just really any old corner, because the nipples can be threaded into any thin-walled plastic material for the most part. They work great in square buckets as well, so you might find that a square bucket is right for you. Now, in the winter time, you've got a couple of different options. You can go with a heated bowl. Now, this is produced, I think, by Farm Innovators. They seem to be a really common manufacturer for the heated bowls and buckets. I purchased this at my local farm store. Just a standard 2-gallon heated bucket. Of course, you can tell it's got some weather and some use. I use this for my quail on a couple of bricks through the winter, and it works excellent for them. So this height is great for my quail. If you don't want to go the route of specifically a bucket for winter time, this can be used all summer long as well. You just unplug it. So you can use this in the winter time, or, and again, what most folks might find helpful is to stay with the same bucket, the same brick or block, and drop in a bucket heater. Bucket heaters are manufactured just for heating small quantities of water. So you go to the farm store, buy a bucket heater, which is similar to a big stock tank heater like for horses and cattle, only smaller quantities of water are heated with these buckets. They don't draw near the amount of electricity, so they're a lot cheaper to operate through the winter. And you can use this bucket, these nipples, and this block all year long. You drop in the heater in the winter time, you take out the heater in the summertime. Another unusual kind of setup that some folks may find very beneficial, if you've got a lot of pens in a very small area where you could use a satellite setup, like a barrel or a bucket that is piped to The nipples work great for that as well. I've seen folks use gravity fed systems. You know, each bowl has a spring and a weight. When the water draws the bowl down, it activates the bowl. They also make spring types, but I have found, and I've used all of them myself, that the nipples work excellent with 3/8 inch inside diameter tubing. Now this is the only application where you will have to put some sort of sealant on the threads, and I recommend the Teflon tape or plumber's tape that you can find at any hardware store. When it's threaded, when the nipples are threaded into the hose, they don't seal as well in the threads as they do in the buckets. Buckets, you won't need any type of sealant at all, but if you use the vinyl hose, you will. So these are the different ways that you can use the nipples. There's really no birds that won't benefit. All poultry is able to use the nipples in one way or another, and it really is just a super time saver. It saves your back, and I think you'll like them. I hope you do.